Yep, we have a lot to get to in terms of Kentucky baseball. This team in the last week and a half has seemed to find its footing and could be turning around a season that looked to be taking a major step back from last year's College World Series run.
Yeah, Anthony, the Cats have had a rough go lately in SEC play. Up until last weekend, the Cats found themselves 6-9 heading to Knoxville to take on number 2 Tennessee, ending up taking two out of three with some of the best pitching the Cats have seen all season from Nick McKay and the staff. McKay ended up winning SEC Pitcher of the Week and National Player in the Week, and they held the Tennessee to only 5 runs all weekend. Amid all the injuries, they could continue to fly up the RPI rankings and sneak into the top 25 with multiple top 25 wins of late. I feel like Kentucky's flying under the radar, and they're right where they need to be the last couple of weeks of the season.
Exactly right, Ethan. And on Tuesday night, it was a good old-fashioned battle of the bluegrass and a great game for the Cats, and they were definitely flying way above the radar in this one. The in-state rivalry held major implications as Kentucky was coming off a series win against number 2 Tennessee and getting walked off in 10 innings just a few weeks ago. This game was a completely different story, however. Kentucky jumped out to an early lead in the first inning and never looked back. They scored a run every inning. It was their second highest run total of the season, behind the 24 runs scored on Evansville in February. Beating an in-state rival by 12 runs has got to have the Batcats feeling good, and they're going to need that momentum if they want to finish the season strong. Kentucky is now 23-15 and have 4 more SEC matchups coming up before the end of the season. So, the series versus South Carolina will start tomorrow at Kentucky Proud Park, and I'm really curious. So, Ethan, what can we expect from the rest of the season?
I think the Cats are playing well, and they need to stay hot. They need to keep getting production from the bats and, keep getting good pitching.
Absolutely.
But my biggest point is they need to close out close games. I think it's going to be, those are going to be crucial wins coming down the stretch. How do you see the season ending?
Ethan, I like to say anything's possible, but the team has had a tough season, and the road only gets tougher heading into the postseason. So I honestly don't think a deep run is in the cards for the Batcats. It's unfortunate to say.
I agree.
But regardless of our predictions, I am excited to see how this next series and the rest of the season could play out for the Cats.
I am as well.